Hey folks, the coffee, finish it off. It's late at night, I'm kind of tired. I think this is September the 2nd or the 1st, I don't remember. And like I said, there's a few things that always drives me crazy. Sometimes I'm a guest of this one disabled person I help out. He's an old timer like me. We both been in through a lot of things, and we like to talk military jargon. And he knows I'm from the late 70s, early 80s in the Air Force SAC Command when it was still SAC Command and not that fancy airstrike group they called it later in 2009 because we're old guys and we know what our stuff is. And a couple of friends come over. One's a TAC guy I knew from basic. And we talked a little bit. We served during the late 70s. And we talked a bit. We laughed and stuff. He got married. I had 2 kids. He was based in, we had a little time in California. Then he got transferred to Italy, and he worked there for a couple of years and helped out the Italians get rid of the Red Brigade. At that time, they would kidnap somebody. We all laughed. Glasses on. I could see without them, but I like to wear them so I could read better. Now, this guy came in kind of drunk, wasn't part of the regular crew. I always ask to get invited when I go in because I had no time in combat. I get combat pay because I can't mention what I used to do because I still get in trouble, but I got combat pay. But I didn't serve time in a war. Okay, there's a big difference between the two. And we talk, we chat and stuff, and we listen to this guy who came at the bar, and we're sitting at our regular table, all 4 of us. And we're listening, and we're kind of looking at him, and I don't know if he was a phony or a poser or he has brain damage or, too many beers. And he came towards our group and was chatting with us, and we smiled and stuff. And then there's a couple things that hit me that drives me nuts. You could tell the phony's really quick or a doofus. Okay? Now, one thing, I was E6, going to be E7, but that was during my reserve time. So I was E6 when I left. And listening to this guy who was talking about, I used to be part of SAC Command. And I kind of look at him like, I don't think so, Buckwheat. You're too young. You're not as old as Uncle Al. And he says, no, I was in SAC Command. And I keep looking at him like, are you smoking crack? You're only 47. Yeah, I was in SAC Command. You're 47. And I keep looking at him, and I keep listening to his answers, and told me we ate sea rats and we ate MREs. And I asked him, what color was the bag on your MRE? And he said it was tan. I said, how tan was it? Was it a dark tan or was it a light brown tan? And he told me it was a light tan. So that's error number 1. It wasn't in SAC Command. And 2, they didn't issue out that one in after 2000. So I caught him on that. And he looked flustered and stood back and like, you were in SAC Command? And I said, yep, Buckwheat. So anyway, he told me he ate sea rats. And I said, are you sure you ate sea rats? Yeah, I ate sea rats. Now, I myself have eaten sea rations. C rations was developed from 1958 to 1980. I joined the Air Force in 1979. Basic training in Lackland, I ate a lot of sea rats, true sea rats from the Vietnam era, which was only 4 years after I joined. Okay, get that through your head. Anybody says I had MREs and sea rats at the same time either got mixed up or they think they're calling it right, it isn't. Okay, a lot of us old timers can tell when they use the term sea rats. Nobody in their right mind called it a sea rat unless you're a doofus. Whatchamacallit, nobody who worked really in SAT would call that. Okay? I could call it a sea rat because I remember what was in the damn ration. It had cigarettes in it. That's a real sea rat. If it doesn't have a sea rat, it's an MCI. That's from 1975. Because smoking's bad, folks. You could tell that by the packaging. It's called Meals Combat Individual, MCI. Anybody says sea rats, they're out of their mind. They didn't join the military until late 80s or 90s. Okay? They kept making MCI from 1975 to 1985. How do I know it? Because I filled out all the paperwork in triplicate. All right? Instead of the doofus taking the box like, oh, it's a sea ration. I'm looking at him. What rank are you? And where did you come from? Sarge, why are you looking at me? Because if you're under my control, I need to interview you and find out what the hell's wrong with you. So I belong to Air Tactical. Get out of my sight. Okay? I wasn't nice back then. I was an evil git. All right? So anyway, when people tell you they ate MCIs and MREs at the same time, you ask them what color bag is the MRE. And usually half these idiots get it wrong. All right? Uncle Alan is not a funny person. You want to see a bar full of vets put down their beer, all of a sudden you hear a thunk, and everybody turned around and looked at this bonehead at the bar. 47 years old, and he gave up one worse clue that he was telling everybody it was a Desert Storm rat. And everybody looked at him. We all put down our beer. I drank non-alcoholic beer because Uncle Alan has shoddy kidneys. Put it down. We all looked at him. And we all at the same time, what color was the bag? And then he looks really nervous. Tan? We threw him out. Okay, I was a guest. We threw him out. That's a telltale sign of a phony. Okay? One, I asked him what was in the bag. Because Uncle Alan did enough paperwork to know what's inside this crap. And I asked him, you ever eaten the 5 fingers of death? And he looked at me, no. And I asked him, are you sure? Yes, sir. Well, sir, I used to be a man who worked for a living. I used to be an NCO. So, answer me this. You're telling me you were in the late 80s, all right? And you didn't have the 5 fingers of death. No, sir. And it was a tan bag. So I read him the Riot Act. When MREs came out, there were only 2 colors. There was a white bag, that's for Arctic condition, and there was an off-green bag, which was soon replaced by a very dark coffee-colored brown bag. And I asked him, what year did he serve? Because Uncle Alan filled out a lot of forms, and I did other things later on. Because Uncle Alan was in 79, 80, 81, 82. That's 4 years. And then I had 2 years of inactive reserve because I pulled up enough ranking and worked overtime and took no vacations and did some other things that I can't mention. So I didn't need to go to reserve training. I had a flyby on that one, inactive reserve. I just on standby, uniform ready, ready to go. Get about 3 weeks of retraining in basic and back on duty. Okay? That was on hold for 2 years. And then by, let's see, 84, 85, I was out totally, went clean slate. All right, only went once to Travelers to double check on my benefits, which was nothing. Okay? So, when he said he used a heater bag and he ate MCIs, or his saying, sea rats, we all looked at him and we threw him out. Again, we threw him out. Because the rest of the guys know there's a time of Desert Storm in 1991 that they start issuing in large mass numbers of the heater bags. But everybody got stuck with the older rations. So you had to put them on manifold heater decks of the car or truck, whatever, or put it underneath your armpit. That was the late 80s, folks. Okay, the heater bags did not come out full blast until 1992. And we had a few problems with those. And then I asked people, do you know when SAC ended? And they all looked like, I don't know. That's not a good idea to say that in a bar full of veterans who's looking at you like, you're going to die, son. All right. MAC ended May 31st, 1992. Okay? If anybody says there was SAC afterwards, you look straight in my eye and you kick them in the nuts. All right? Now, a lot of people ask me, how do you know all this, Uncle Al? Uncle Al did a lot of things. And the earliest MREs were manufactured from 1981 to 1979. Then we have more modern versions after 1997. Sorry, 1997. We have the more modern MRE. You can go look in MRE.history. You could look at the Army Quartermasters. They'll give you the color code of the bag, and you could tell which decade it came from. All right, Uncle Alan's remaining in the mid 80s. It has to be either dark green or dark brown. That's my era, and it didn't have a heater bag. So I hear people talking to me. We had heater bags in the MREs, and they joined in the 80s that either never had one, they're out of their mind, or they think they had one. They didn't. All right? That really ticks the hell out of me. All right? Now, a lot of you guys who was in SAC Command, you know they had the big restructuring movement in 87, and that was transition to ending of SAC. So a lot of people knew that. MAC guys and TAC guys had no idea what was going on, except they seen a lot of angry guys coming from SAC Command to their sections, and it was all over because we were PO'd. Okay? So anyway, so if somebody said they had sea rats, that's Uncle Alan's generation. The last ones were from 1980. I joined in 1979. I had it in basic. And I asked them where you got trained for the Air Force, and they say, basic training, where was it? And they say, Missouri. And you know, that's a phony, because everybody know we get basic training in Texas. And we threw them out. Okay? And we went back drinking and talking, you know. And then we all know that it's a C-rat, it should have cigarettes. If it doesn't, it's MCI. All right? A lot of people don't know this. It's a big shh. We don't tell the doofuses about it because we can tell what era they joined the services. Okay? Because Uncle Kong gets tired. It's like, you know, when I hear everybody were talking about MREs, I'm looking at them, you never had a real MRE in your life. It's like, this is why Uncle Kong has a stroke. Okay, folks, it's late at night. I got to go. I hope when I put this up, a lot of people, when you hear somebody talk they were in the service, and you ask them what time period, and they give you kind of a hinky answer, go look at them. Catch you later, folks. You have a nice day. Later.